we're diving into Choo Meng Foo's photography, and it's like stepping into a different world, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you've given us a real mix here. We've got like bustling street scenes. We've got these quiet, almost contemplative moments. We've got some architecture and even a street performer or two.
Yeah, he's got it all.
Yeah, and they all have this unique look,
Yeah.
this pastel chromatic wash that somehow makes all the grit and the textures even more intense.
It really does.
I'm already hooked.
Good.
But I'm dying to hear what you see in this collection, knowing that our listener loves finding those, like, aha moments where the everyday becomes something special.
Yeah, well, I think what's so fascinating to me about Meng Foo's work is how he uses this pastelmatic approach.
Okay.
And it's, it is more than just pastel.
Right.
It strips away all that distraction of color.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't become stark black and white, like, say, a Cartier-Bresson street photo.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead, we get this heightened focus on textures and contrasts. It's almost like those early colorized photos where the color is there, but it feels like it's painted on reality, making it both familiar and dreamlike.
Yeah.
And, for somebody like you who really thrives on learning, this technique itself is a lesson.
Oh, interesting.
Look closer. The ordinary holds secrets.
Okay, so, I was thinking about that timeless quality that you mentioned. It's
Yeah.
like he's found a way to make the present feel like a memory.
Right.
Even these busy street scenes have a sort of nostalgia baked in.
Absolutely.
But then you'll catch a detail, a motorbike, a modern storefront, and it snaps you back to now.
Yeah.
It's like he's playing with our sense of time, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly what makes this deep dive so perfect for you, right?
Yeah.
You're someone who doesn't just want to see what's there, but understand why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
What forces shaped it.
Yeah.
And Meng Foo's work is all about that.
Okay.
Cultural layers, architectural echoes, the way a society adapts.
Mm-hmm.
Johor Bahru becomes this living textbook in his hands.
Okay, well, let's crack open that textbook then.
Right.
He calls this technique Pastelmatic, but how does it actually work?
Right.
Is it just a filter, or is there something more deliberate going on here?
Well, he's talking about how Pastelmatic is about revealing the stark, unembellished core of things.
Okay.
So it's not just technical, it's philosophical,
Yeah.
By taking away color's intensity, he's arguing that we can then see the form, the light, the interplay of shadow more clearly.
Oh, okay.
Think about it like a sculptor.
Yeah.
They don't start with a rainbow of clay. They start with the purest material to understand the shape.
Right, right.
So it's about stripping it back down.
Okay, that makes sense, stripping things down to their essence.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, some of these photos, like Exhibit 9 with the man sewing in the Indian community,
Yes.
it doesn't feel stark to me at all. There's this quiet dignity, a sense of life being lived, even if it's just this one simple act. Is that Meng Foo, like, sneaking emotion back in, or am I projecting? Because I know our listener loves those little aha moments.
I think you've hit on something really insightful there.
Okay.
The power of this technique is that it creates space for the viewer to bring their own emotions, their own interpretations. And in Exhibit 9, it's not just the act of sewing.
Right.
It's the composition that speaks volumes.
Okay.
Look at how he's framed in the doorway. The light falling on his hands, the tools laid out carefully. It elevates this everyday labor into an almost sacred ritual.
You say sacred, but
Yeah.
the shop house itself, it looks pretty run down,
Right.
peeling paint, cramped space.
Sure.
Is Meng Foo romanticizing poverty here?
That's a great question.
Or is he showing us that resilience, that finding beauty in your circumstances, is its own kind of sacred act?
See, that's the brilliance of his work. He asks these questions without giving easy answers.
Okay.
And for a curious mind like yours, that's a gold mine.
Right. I like gold mines.
He's not offering a postcard view of poverty,
Right.
but he's also not exploiting it for shock value.
Yeah.
It's that tension that makes you keep looking and thinking, what's the story behind this facade?
Well, one story that keeps popping up is this idea of tropical urbanism.
Uh-huh.
We're not talking skyscrapers and glass here.
No, not at all.
It's a whole different vibe.
A lot.
And these 5-foot ways, the covered walkways like in Exhibits 2 and 3, those are so foreign to me, but they're everywhere in Meng Foo's world.
Yeah, the 5-foot ways are more than just walkways.
Okay.
They're a uniquely Southeast Asian adaptation to the climate and the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about it. Intense sun, sudden downpours.
Yeah.
This provides shelter, but it also becomes like a liminal space.
Okay.
Neither fully public nor private.
Right.
So conversations happen there, commerce, even just a moment of respite.
Uh-huh.
And Meng Foo captures that. It's
Yeah.
not just architecture, it's how people live within architecture.
Okay, I'm picturing myself there now, and suddenly the photos aren't static anymore.
Right.
Is that what he's doing? Turning these like mundane spaces into invitations?
Mm-hmm.
Because Exhibit 3, that solitary man on the 5-foot way, it's pulling me in.
Yeah.
It's not just a photo, it's a feeling. Almost I could walk right into that moment.
He's a master at creating that feeling, that sense of stepping into the scene.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that Pastelmatic technique comes back in.
Okay.
Because it's not hyper-real. It has this slight remove, like a memory or a dream.
Ah.
So you're drawn in by the composition, the human element.
Yeah.
But the colors keep you at just enough distance to let your imagination fill the gaps.
Well, my imagination is definitely fired up now. Let's keep unpacking these photos. There's a whole world waiting to be discovered here.
Let's do it. Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about Meng Foo's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each photograph is an invitation, like to explore, to question, to discover something new.
Speaking of discoveries, I'm struck by how much Meng Foo highlights like the multicultural layers of Johor Bahru.
Yeah.
It's not just like a visual thing. It's like you can feel that history woven into the streets.
Uh-huh.
And the signage exhibits 10, 13, 16, Tamil, Chinese, Malay, English, all jumbled together.
Right.
It's like a visual representation of the city's identity, wouldn't you say?
It's not just representation, it's an active conversation happening right there on the walls.
Oh, wow.
You got to think about it. For centuries, Johor Bahru has been this crossroads, a trading hub.
Uh-huh.
So those languages, they're not just signs, they're echoes of the communities who built this place, who are still building it.
Yeah.
You know, you with your thirst for diverse perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
this is a visual feast.
You know, it makes those generic Chinatown decorations you see in some cities feel so flat.
Right.
This is the real deal. It's messy, it's overlapping, it's not curated for tourists. Exhibit 10, that beauty salon with the faded Chinese characters next to a modern English logo.
Right.
It's like a microcosm of that cultural fusion.
And that fusion isn't always pretty, is it?
Right.
You see peeling paint, mismatched repairs, buildings crammed together.
Huh?
But that's part of the story too, right?
Yeah.
That resilience that we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
It's like a plant growing through a crack in the pavement life.
Yeah.
Finds a way. Beauty finds a way.
Okay, but beauty can be lonely sometimes, can it?
How so?
We've got these bustling scenes.
Yeah.
But then Meng Foo isolates a figure, the man in Exhibit 3, the woman looking out the window in Exhibit 25.
Mm-hmm.
Is he saying something about, like, the individual amidst the collective, or is that just me reading too much into it?
No, you're not reading too much into it. You're reading exactly what Meng Foo wants us to consider.
Okay.
The urban experience is a paradox, right? We're surrounded by people, but we often feel most alone in a crowd.
Yeah, that's true.
And those solitary figures, they're like a counterpoint to the celebrations, the street scenes.
Okay.
It's like he's saying, yes, there's energy, there's life,
Yeah.
but there's also introspection, those moments of quiet searching.
He does introspection so well.
He does, doesn't he?
Even the back alleys, they become these contemplative spaces. Exhibit 8, that lone figure walking away.
Yeah.
That it's almost haunting,
Yeah.
like a glimpse into a hidden world.
Right.
You said before that Meng Foo makes us feel like we're stepping into the photo here. It's like he's letting us leave the city, you know, even just for a moment.
It's a brilliant use of perspective, right?
Yeah.
The narrowness of the alley, the figure almost disappearing into shadow.
Mm-hmm.
It's claustrophobic, but also liberating.
Right.
Like, okay, the city's out there, but here I can just be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that Pastelmatic palette, it enhances this.
Yeah.
It's not the harshness of like film noir, you know?
Right. Wow.
It's a softened solitude, almost meditative.
You know, it's funny you mentioned noir. It made me think of like old movies.
Right.
And Exhibit 26, that Powgum Broadway theater. That's Art Deco, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole different era of urban glamour.
Totally.
Is Meng Foo being nostalgic here, or is there a deeper connection to the theme of memory?
Well, you know, he's a master at layering meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And here, I think it's architecture as a time capsule.
Okay.
That Art Deco style, it's not just pretty, it speaks to Johor Bahru's history.
Right.
A time when cinema was this new thing.
Yeah.
When the city was perhaps dreaming of a different future
Mm-hmm.
and its survival amidst all this modern development.
Yeah.
That's resilience too,
Oh, interesting.
on a grander scale.
So it's not just the people, it's the place that's resilient.
Yeah.
Which makes me think about those shop houses again.
Mm-hmm.
Exhibit 25, the one with the woman looking out the window.
Yeah.
It's like a vertical slice of life, you know?
It is, isn't it?
You've got businesses on the ground floor, laundry hanging above, that glimpse into someone's private moment. It's a whole world contained in one building.
And that's the shop house typology, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a structure. It's a microcosm of urban life.
Right.
Livelihood, family, community, all intertwined. And notice how often Meng Foo shoots them from across the street.
Yeah.
It's like he's acknowledging that invisible boundary between public and private, the delicate balance that makes city life work.
I'm starting to see patterns now the way he repeats certain elements, but always with a twist.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about solitude,
Right.
but what about those moments of connection?
Yeah, good point.
Exhibit 4, the guitarist with the thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
There's joy there, a sense of like a shared experience.
Right.
Is he deliberately contrasting that with those lone figures, or am I projecting again?
I think you're onto something,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
That's exactly what makes Meng Foo more than just a photographer. He's a visual storyteller.
Right.
He's giving us a range of human experience. And the way he frames those moments,
Yeah.
it's deliberate. Think about the guitarist's gesture. It's outward. It's engaging the viewer, almost demanding participation. Whereas those solitary figures are often turned away, you know,
Right.
absorbed in their own worlds.
Okay, so it's not just about what he shows, it's how he directs our gaze.
Exactly.
That's a whole other layer of learning, you know?
Yeah.
Seeing the intent behind the image. It makes me wonder, those little details he throws in, like, are those intentional too?
I think so.
The peeling paint, that stainless steel cup in Exhibit 19, even the pigeons on the wires in Exhibit 30?
Right.
Are those just texture, or are they clues?
I think those details are never accidental with Meng Foo.
Okay.
He's a master of using the mundane to elevate the scene. Think about that stainless steel cup.
Yeah.
It's so ordinary, almost invisible in everyday life.
Right.
But in the context of the garland shop, it becomes this symbol of the man's reality, his simple needs amidst the beauty he creates.
You're right. It's like those Where's Waldo pictures, where the background is as important as the main subject.
Exactly.
And speaking of subjects that command attention, Exhibit 20, that man selling balloons from his wheelchair,
Yes.
that one hit me hard. It's not pity, it's defiance.
Yeah.
Like, this is my life, I'm making it work, and I'm finding joy in it.
That's what I love about Meng Foo. You know,
Yeah.
he never lets us get comfortable with our assumptions.
Yeah.
He challenges us to see beyond the surface, to recognize the strength and the resilience that exists in these unexpected places.
Right.
And the balloons themselves become symbolic.
Oh, yeah.
They're whimsical, colorful. A reminder that even amidst struggle, hope persists.
Okay, now I'm looking at those balloons differently.
Right.
It's not just a guy selling a product, it's a whole statement about, like, the human spirit.
Exactly.
Which, if I'm being honest, is kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be.
There's so much to consider, so many layers to unpack.
Wow.
Is that what Meng Foo wants from us? To be constantly questioning?
I don't think he's giving us easy answers.
Uh-huh.
I think he's giving us tools to ask better questions.
Mm.
And, you know, for a learner like you, that's the greatest gift.
Ooh, I like that.
He's saying the world is complex, beauty is complex, human experience is complex. Don't shy away from that. Embrace it.
I'm starting to see that complexity everywhere now, even in, like, the quietest of his photos. It's like he's found a way to make silence speak volumes.
Yeah, he really has.
We've only scratched the surface of these photographs. There's still so much to uncover.
There is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always more to discover, more to learn, more to feel.
It's like he's given us a key to a whole city, not just like a tourist map, you know?
Right.
But you know what else is hitting me? This feeling of optimism. Like, yeah, there's poverty, there's struggle,
Right.
but there's also this, like, vibrant energy, this sense of making life work.
Yeah.
Is that Meng Foo, like, deliberately being hopeful? Or am I letting these pastel colors sway my mood?
I think it's both.
You know?
He's not shying away from the realities of Johor Bahru,
Right.
but he's also choosing to highlight the moments of joy, the resilience. Remember that stainless steel cup?
Yeah.
It's not just about the man's reality. It's also about his ability to find a moment of peace,
Right.
to have a drink, to carry on.
Yeah.
That's hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Finding those little things that keep you going.
It's making me think about that quote, the opposite of poverty is not wealth, it's justice.
Right.
Meng Fu is not pretending everything's fine,
No.
but he's showing us the dignity that exists despite the inequalities.
Mhm.
And for someone who's all about learning,
Yeah.
that's a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
Look for the agency, the strength people have, even when the system's stacked against them.
Absolutely. And that's where art becomes more than just aesthetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Becomes this tool for understanding.
Okay.
They're not just seeing pretty pictures. You're seeing a society, a culture, a way of life that might be completely foreign to you.
Yeah.
But through Meng Fu's lens,
Uh-huh.
it becomes relatable, human.
Right.
You start to see the connections, the shared experiences that go beyond language or geography.
So it's not just about Johor Bahru.
Right.
It's about what it reflects back on us.
Exactly.
That's a lot of responsibility for a photographer, don't you think?
Well, I don't think he's preaching.
Okay.
I think he's inviting us into a dialogue.
Right.
And that's the difference between like a good artist and a great one.
Okay.
They don't tell you what to think. They give you the space to think for yourself.
Right.
That's why I think this deep dive has been so rewarding.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing the thinking, the connecting, the questioning.
Well, I wouldn't have gotten here without you as my guide.
Oh, shucks.
But, as we're wrapping up here,
Yeah.
I keep coming back to that Pastelmatic technique.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's doing more than just altering the colors. It's like it's altering our perception.
Interesting.
It's making the familiar strange, the everyday extraordinary.
Yeah.
Is that like the ultimate goal?
What do you mean?
To shift how we see the world.
I think Meng Fu would say that's the goal of all art.
Okay.
To make us re-see,
Right.
not just with our eyes,
Uh-huh.
but with our hearts, with our understanding.
Okay.
To look at the world and say, there's more here than I thought. There's beauty I haven't noticed. There are stories I need to hear.
And that's a pretty good lesson to carry with us.
Yeah, it is.
Even after this deep dive is over.
Absolutely.
So what's the one thing, the lasting thought you want to leave our listener with?
Go out and find your own Pastelmatic moments.
Oh, I like that.
Look for the beauty in the overlooked, in the cracks in the pavement, in the faces of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Let yourself be surprised by the world.
Yeah.
And let that surprise lead you to new knowledge, new connections, new ways of being.
That's a challenge I think we can all take on.
I think so too.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey into Choo Meng Foo's world.
My pleasure.
It's been a real eye-opener, and for our listener, we hope this has sparked your curiosity.
Yeah.
Inspire you to see the world with fresh eyes. Until next time,
Yeah.
keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.